Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life, and I wanted to talk about something that was discovered recently, and actually T-Mobile was quoted saying this, and I wanted to bring that up in this video. So now that I have your attention, so I think many of you are starting to see a more of a comparability and network of T-Mobile's against Verizon and AT&T in the metro urban core, and now I would say even in the suburban areas, right? And as this year goes on and the next year, there's going to be more of a comparability, right? It's going to be very comparable in network performance, and T-Mobile is still cheaper. So that in itself is already going to be a problem for AT&T and Verizon. Now, where T-Mobile still has issues is in the rural environment, and they will continue to do so, right? Let's not kid ourselves. Let's be honest. It takes time, right? Verizon and AT&T were building in rural United States well over a decade in length, right? And with FirstNet, AT&T ramped that up, and Verizon just naturally ramped it up, right? They are very competitive when it comes to the rural environment. Now, T-Mobile is stepping in. They want to compete there, but it's going to take time. So here's something very interesting, right? At the start of the merger, T-Mobile claimed, including Sprint, to be at 110,000 macros. That they would, of course, decommission a bunch of those macros, that have overlapping coverage or whatever. They would keep about 10,000 Sprint keep sites, but of course that continued to increase. That eventually that number became 11,000, 12,000, then it settled somewhere around 13,000 Sprint sites that they would keep. T-Mobile has now been quoted saying several times that they're done with that process, right? So that tells me they are virtually complete, as they say. There's still going to be a very small percentage. You are still going to see Sprint keep site conversions in 2023. Don't let them fool you. You're still going to see that. So what they are now claiming, and I'll leave this article in the description, T-Mobile is now claiming to have 79,000 macros on air. The total macro count at the end of the network integration was supposed to be 85,000. So it sounds like out of the 10,000 site builds, they have roughly around 6,000 left to build. And that's new site builds to get to the 85,000. This is kind of very basic, simple math, right? But I want to point something out. We gotta keep it honest on the channel. At the 79,000 macros that they have now on air, that's already very comparable, if not more already, than what Verizon and AT&T have in their macro portfolio. And T-Mobile still has the smaller network. So keep that in mind. At the 79,000 macros, T-Mobile may already have roughly between 5,000 to 6,000 more macros on air than the rivals, and they still have the smaller network. So what does that mean? T-Mobile has most of their macros for density. They have a lot of density out there, a lot of it. So now with these remaining 6,000, right, they need to start spreading those macros out for that rural environment and for the coverage. So I have my concerns, right? I have my concerns after the 6,000. Are they still going to be a smaller network? It is very possible. Will T-Mobile, in a sense, be a bigger network? Yes, I truly believe that. I truly believe they are going to have a bigger network, comparatively speaking, than they had before the merger. But after the 6,000 sites, will they still have a smaller network to Verizon and AT&T? And I would have to say yes. I would truly have to say yes, they will still have a smaller network. At 85,000 macros, they would still have a smaller network because most of those macros are density. Literally. People keep saying this and that about T-Mobile density, and then, they say density matters. T-Mobile has the density. They built their entire network on PCS, not just in the metros, right? On some of that, when they started building out before they got Band 12, on some of the stretches on Interstate 10, Interstate 20, highway so-and-so, they started building out coverage on band 2 PCS. So they had to densify. Now, of course, due to the lack of money, they didn't really go to the full extent on that. And then eventually they did get low band and they started building that out. But they have a ways to go. So T-Mobile is likely going to have the largest macro footprint that we've ever seen in the United States, right? Once they start getting going really in that rural environment, they start really bringing their coverage assets out there. They're going to have to build more macros beyond the 85,000. And I think that's very apparent. And, you know, just doing some, now Verizon and AT&T have never been quoted on this, but I was doing some research and Verizon is sitting right around like 70,000. And it looks like AT&T is sitting at about like 72, 73,000 macros. So today, again, T-Mobile is quoted saying 79,000 macros and 41,000 small cell distributed antennas, right? Which is far behind the competition. They don't come even close to AT&T and Verizon, I would say, on small cells. But on the macros, T-Mobile has a substantial lead that they continue growing, but it's mainly based off of density. Like, I would say 80% of the total 79,000 macros is density. The other 20%, they're starting to grow that footprint, but they're going to need a lot more towers spread out. You know, let's forget about density for a minute. They need more towers spread out in that rural environment to really expand their coverage. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Just wanted to give you guys that update. Like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.